Welcome back to Leicester City Down Under. I'm Luke. This is the preview against Ipswich. How are you all feeling? Are you nervous? Is it too early to call it a six-pointer? Let's get into it. But before we do, a couple of things I just wanted to bring up. I don't know if you're familiar, if you've been through it already or you've seen it, but I won't pull it up on screen. I'll just read it out. But we have got some injury news. So unfortunately, Abdul Fattah has picked up a little bit of a knock in his groin. Quote here from Cooper: Abdul was not available for the game last night for a groin issue. We've had a few enforced changes last night, but it was just because we went away last night. It doesn't mean we won't go a certain way at the weekend. That's confusing. We're waiting on a scan. Unfortunately, he picked up a little bit of pain in his groin in the build-up to United. It certainly ruled him out of that game. We'll see what the scan shows. Hopefully, it's positive news like Victor Christensen. When you send players for a scan, you fear the worst and hope for the best. So, yeah, general talk. Christensen has now trained with the squad after a short absence, while Patson Daka's ankle is also back with the training group. The Zambia international is yet to appear for the Foxes this term after sustaining his injury in the final week of pre-season. Now, this is what's interesting. Yannick Vestergaard, meanwhile, was used from the bench at United. Christensen trained this morning for the first time, Cooper added. Patson Daka is back in training as well. This is what I wanted to get into. We've got a new young guy, Michael Golding, training with us too. He's a good young player. He's had a spell out, but he's in training. Yannick returned to the pitch last night as well. Apart from Abdul at the moment, it's fairly positive. So, Chris is finally in. Here he is.
Hello.
How you going, mate? All right?
I'm sorry for keeping you waiting and being late, sir. Fashionably late, I think, I would like to say. But, just a few T's to cross and I's to dot. How the devil are you, sir?
I'm good, mate. Long time no see.
Yes, indeed.
So, I don't know if you just heard everything I was just saying, Chris, but it's interesting to hear about Golding. I've been kind of, I thought he would have gone out and loaned for what we paid for him as a young, get some development, get some back-to-back minutes in him with some men's football. But by all accounts, he's doing really well at the youth level, and maybe it's a positive sign that we can start to see him get some minutes in the senior squad of the lads.
I said this, or I did a preview show yesterday for the game, and I said it pisses me off a bit about Leicester with our youth players. Apparently we've got this great youth academy. It's always saying about these youngsters we've got coming through, and we've got this amazing training facility, obviously, that we know about. We never bloody see them. Why? We don't. If Wayne Rooney had been playing for Leicester, he wouldn't have got his first game in the Premier League yet, because we just don't let them go. I mean, Alves came on the other day, and all right, he wasn't on for long, didn't get a chance to do much. The game was over and done and dusted. One of the first thing he did was have a run at their defence. I mean, the youngsters aren't scared. Put them on, for God's sake. Cooper, you're supposed to no, let me rephrase that. You're supposed to want to develop young players. nearly dropped yourself in it.
Wow. Yeah. What a pope you are.
But and you won the World Cup with the under-17s. But well, bloody use the youngsters then. What's happened to Braybook? What's happened to Alves? What we'll end up doing is we'll end up selling them, and they'll end up doing well at other clubs. And we paid $5 million for Golding. God, that's what we paid for Akinbaye. Why aren't these players being given the chance?
So, to be fair, Braybook is at Dundee, I believe, in the Scottish Premier League. So he's at least getting some
minutes. Why did we let him go?
Why he's on loan. Yes, I like that. So he's getting minutes. So if he
these players should be getting minutes there,
and that, Okay, let me play devil's advocate. I'm fully in agreement with you. Okay, but let me just play devil's advocate. If we were to, let's say, play these youngsters in a season that's absolute paramount where we need to stay up, and let's say we were to play a bunch of youth and we were to get, an absolute tanking, everyone would turn around and say, what are you doing? We can't be risking playing youth right now. We need to be staying up. That must be the utmost priority. I'm not saying that you're wrong or I'm right, but I'm just trying to think of a devil's advocate here.
I will come back to you with my devil's advocate on that, which is I agree with what you're saying. I see that obviously totally, and I'm not a manager, so it's easy for me to sit here and say these things. But look, if we're going to sort of survive, what Cooper has decided is that we need experience. So he's basically gone out and bought Dakova Reed. He's gone out and bought Edouard. Do you think either of those players are going to keep us up?
No, I think they're both donkeys.
Yeah, exactly. But he's gone for experience. Thank you very much. You know, and I get that. I honestly do get that. But you look at. I always use Germany as the example. You know, when they were with their national teams, they never had all experienced players. They never had all old players, young players. Sorry, they integrated the youngsters in. You know, Alves, if he's that fucking good, give him some time because he can't do any worse than some of those players that we've been out there. You know, I mean, could he replace any of the players that played that first half against Nottingham? Yeah, he
Yep.
could have replaced any of them. Probably, well, apart from Mads, probably. You know, I forget the guy's name. Brad probably will sort of say. The guy that we let go, I think it was to Rangers, and he's now at a Champions League club somewhere. It's a joke, you know. All we keep hearing is, "Oh, we've got the £1 million on this, or whatever it was, 100 million on this training facility. Youth players are being brilliant. Well, let's bloody see some of them."
All right, Chris. Well, you missed a couple of games while you're over east. You're in a safe place here, mate. It's my channel. You can say it if you want. Do you think Steve Cooper is a deluded orc?
No.
Just winding you up. Don't get all upset. All right, let's get into it, mate. I've got a couple.
I'm not agreeing with you on that one. I'm taking the other side.
Okay, he's back on the fence. All right, this is the Ipswich Town versus Leicester City preview. Let's get into it. So Ipswich last three. What a crazy game it was. Brentford away. Clark gets red carded. They still claw the way back to only lose it in the end to Brentford 4-3 as a neutral. What a game. They lost to Everton. Poor performance that was. And they got forced shit past them again by West Ham United, who, in my opinion, West Ham have been severely underperforming. So I thought they were doing a lot better with the players that they signed and replacing Moyes, who I think is a dated manager, who I know that you wanted to come to Leicester, but I think that's all just to stay up. I don't really see him as a progressive manager in this day and age, but who am I? But that's Ipswich's last three games. They've conceded the most goals other than Wolverhampton. So let's just hope that if it is going to be an end-to-end game, that we're going to be the ones that are going to be more effective on the transition. But I think it has 1-1 written all over it. Chris, what are your thoughts on Ipswich's form this season, and how do you think they're doing? They've gone in, they've got some really good championship players, they've got some young players, they've still even got guys that were there from League One. What are your thoughts on Ipswich Town? Do you think they stay up, or do you think if they'd be screaming this is a 6-pointer a lot more than we would be? And that's not mean to be big-headed or anything either.
They definitely see it. I was speaking to Rich from an Ipswich Town fan last night, and they say this is a relegation battle to them. If they lose, yeah, it was. Thank you, Brad. If this was not, what I'm going to say, look, Ipswich, they knew they were going to struggle. I'd got them to finish 17th, us to finish 16th. So, yeah, do I think they'll stay up? No. Do I want them to stay up? Yes, because I love the story. For me, two things they've done is, like you said, they've got a lot of players that were in the lower leagues. They've got them to the Premier League, and they've gone out now and spent £100 million, £100 million in the summer, bringing about 10 or 11 players in. It's another first team. So those players that were sort of got them there are going to be a little bit peed off. So I'm not sure about the harmony. It might struggle later on with that, McKenna. But you see, they've gone down the youth. Like you say, they brought some good young championship players. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying they're bad players. I would have loved to have taken Schmodic. Edouard Schmodic, please, come on. But they haven't got that experience. And that is the problem they've got. is that might let them down. And Brad's favourite player, Edouard, he could get a hat trick at the weekend and prove us all wrong. Not. But my worry is that look, that they've not got a win yet. They are looking at this as not only a match they must win, but a match they could win. Because our 2 wins weren't down to brilliant performances. We were holding on in one, and we had to come back from the dead in the other. And, they know how to score goals. 3 goals away from home, and you lose. I mean, that's naivety. And that is a newly promoted side that's not been there before. I think there will be a lot of goals in this game.
Really? Okay. Well, that's interesting, mate. Just gonna pull up a few comments, but just to go on by what you were saying, I agree. I think that I would like them to stay up. I think it's a tremendous story. I think Kieran McKenna's done an absolutely amazing job, and I'd be curious to see what, from an Ipswich's point of view, I think they'll just be happy for the ride while they're here, and if they go down, so be it. They've come from League One back to back, so
yeah,
it wouldn't be as painful for them as I would think it would be for us. I think it's been a long time since they've been in the Premier League or the First Division, I think it was called, when they were last in. I'm not entirely sure.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
So,
no, I think they have been in the Premier League. Yeah.
Oh, they have? Okay, sorry. Must not lose game results versus top half teams are an added bonus, but survival is determined on how you face up to teams down there with us. Yeah, exactly right, Brad. Bang on. This is a good comment from Terry, going by, I think we were talking about before, the youth, Brad. All right, Terry. We couldn't beat Ipswich last year with a good manager. Heaven help us Saturday.
No. I just want to come back on that. Look, everybody seems to think that Enzo Maresca, he bends over, the sun comes out of his arse. He was a manager who blew a 17-point lead. He was the manager that got us promoted by 1 point. Yes, he is good. Don't get me wrong, he is good. But if he was at Leicester this season, would we have 9 points? No, we wouldn't. We'd have less. So I do know what you're saying, Terry, but I think that under Cooper, it's more of a battling team than under Maresca.
Can I come back to you with the reason why it's a battling team is because we don't control the ball. Enzo would control the ball, and granted, yes, we'd be much more vulnerable against there's a lot of times that we got away with one because they didn't have the quality in the Championship, but nowhere near as many teams in the Premier League would be playing like a real low block and parking a bus. Do you know what I mean? So I definitely think it would have been interesting.
Can you imagine? Look, let me take you to a scenario of last season. Our back line, Janrik Vestergaard in the defence, you talk about having a high line, it was on the halfway line. That was our defensive line. Mads Manson was having a picnic halfway up our half of the pitch. I don't think there's a team outside of, above us at the moment that wouldn't take advantage of that.
We'll never know. This is all hypothetical, so we could talk about this forever. Leicester's last 3, painful. Nottingham. This is a home game. I got this mixed up. Nottingham 3, Leicester 1, painful. We beat Southampton 3-2, and then we beat Bournemouth. So, Craig, if you're watching, I'm sorry, mate. Brad's just put in here, ask Southampton fans how playing possession football is working in the Prem. I would say that Southampton are a lot different, though, than how we shape up. They're different to how Enzo used to shape up, but, horses for courses.
I'll come back to you on that one.
Okay.
I was talking to the Ipswich fan, and they are going to set up 4-2-3-1, which is the same as us. They play that high line. How's it going for Ipswich at the moment?
Ipswich change how they shape up a lot, to be fair. Sometimes they play for back 3, sometimes they attack at 5. They're quite hard to predict, Ipswich, to be fair. I definitely am expecting this to be end-to-end. Southampton invert both their fullbacks at times, whereas we did it only with one, with Ricardo Pereira, which is what I want to get into. But yeah, 4-2-3-1 is pretty much the most generic in possession formation there is in the Premier League at the moment, with a lot of people dropping into a 4-4-2 with defence. Last time, now I want to ask you about this, Chris, because I've only watched the highlights because it was on at crazy o'clock for me, and I'll get up for any Premier League game at 2 or 3 in the morning in Perth, but I'm not going to get up for a cup game where United played
Oh,
basically their strongest
you
11 against a
plastic
B
fan,
team.
you plastic fan.
Yeah, that's proper Fergie baby with me, isn't it? Now, Chris, this is actually quite interesting. So I want to talk to you about this. So Ward is a fucking spanner. We don't need to talk about that. But Justin,
No, we do need to talk about that.
okay, let's get into it.
Okay, I looked at this team and I thought, oh God, we're going to get a battering. And you will look at that and go 5-2. That was a battering. No, it wasn't. We had a mad 15 minutes. Man United had their best team out. Apart from the goalie, they were all internationals.
Mhm.
We didn't have anybody like that in our team. We had Samari in our team, for God's sake. We had Dakova Reed in our team. We had nobody. They were that bad. Even Cody scored against them. So we were never going to win the game. Ward in goal, he did absolutely nothing wrong. If you're going to say to me that he is a spanner, what was Mads Hermansson? Was he not a spanner with about phase when we conceded that goal against Forest? Because neither of them did anything. They both stood there like statues. This Ward made some decent saves. Very few of those goals, well, in fact, most of those goals were caused by defensive errors of the players in front of him. A Coley short back pass. That you sorry, no, he's not a spanner. I'm not saying he's Gordon Banks, but he's certainly not a spanner.
I reckon he's a Welsh spanner for sure. But what I want to talk to you about was I did see that back pass from McCauley, and that was absolutely shocking. And I thought he had a really poor game as well against Nottingham Forest. Now I thought he was a donkey of a signing, and he slowly worked his way back into the side. And I thought he looked decent. But the last two games he's kind of dropped off more. Now, do you think the fact that he played the full game as well as Justin, do you see them being dropped potentially? Do you think that kind of is a prelude or like what you can kind of expect to see against Ipswich, Chris?
You know what I did love about the game is the comments in the watch along when Vestergaard came on and everybody going, yeah, finally Vestergaard's back. And I'm like, these are Leicester fans saying this. They absolutely crucified him. I was surprised that those two actually kept their place. Justin, he can't play on the right. Cooper, this is when Cooper's a Welsh bloody spanner. What's he doing? Yes, he can play on the right, but why do you think the last 2 or 3 managers that have had him have played him on the left? Because he's better there. Cooper, that's better. So put a player in the place where they play better. Now, if he's moving him across just to hold and put Christensen in, then you've got to start asking, no, you pay a better right back, which is obviously always going to be Ricardo. He's a bit ring rusty at the moment, but generally speaking, he is our best right back. And then you decide between Christensen and Justin. If he doesn't think Justin is better than Christensen, then I will. I would say then you got to start Christensen.
We'll get into my 11 in a bit.
Yeah.
Brad's put a good comment up here. So from like all accounts, apparently one of our better players was actually Samari. And be interesting, Brad. Brad, would you say that, Brad, you just stop being a bot, mate. Just sent you the link. Just join us, brother. I know you want to. I haven't seen you in a while. But I'm just kidding. But Brad, if you can't jump on, mate, tell me where would you like to see Samari if he was to be featuring the starting 11? Do you want to see him in a high 8, a 10, or that double pivot? Moving on. Actually, sorry, just before I move on, Chris, what a goal it was from Canoes. Thomas, damaged goods, League One standard, unfortunately.
No.
No, what?
I'm disagreeing with you on everything here. He isn't a first choice. He isn't League One. We would have been up shit creek without a paddle with him a couple of seasons ago. He played in Europe for us. He scored against last time he played Man United for us. He scored against them, telling Vardy to get the shit out of the way so he could score the goal, which he did. Yes, look, he's not first choice. He's a bit. I'd say he's a bit like a Chowdhury. You know what you get with him, and if you need him, he'll do a job. Do I see him as a long-term future with Leicester? No. But he isn't as bad as people are saying. Got to remember, like I say, we would have been well up the old shit creek without him that season. So no, not the best, but he's certainly not that bad. Come on, Luke, be generous.
I think that is being generous. I think he's off to Wrexham next season. I'm just kidding, mate. Honestly, though, I feel sorry for him, mate. I think he's been through the absolute ringer. I think he got put through the ringer of Rodgers. Then he went to Sheffield. They didn't want him there. He wasn't favoured at Borough either. Unfortunately for me, I think he's damaged goods now, mate, and you can see it when he plays. Should JJ be dropped? So we we're just talking about this briefly before about him playing on the left, Chris. I kind of think that he can play on the right, but in my opinion, not in the system that Cooper plays. I think he gets expected too much of him and he gets left out to dry. So he's basically, we've seen him a lot this season, been basically almost a right winger. So he's expected to be that one in that fullback position that gets up the pitch and attacks, offers that other option for a cross into the box if it's not, Victor Christensen on the other side. But yet then he's expected to track back and sometimes even defend against two people. I will say, though, that he has been made to look silly, though, on one-on-ones, but I just think he's been moved around too much. But do you think he should be dropped, mate, just for himself? Because he has been poor the last few weeks.
Not if he's played in the right position. He hasn't, he's literally cost us a lot of goals down that right-hand side. And if the opposition team is doing their homework, they will see that. And I don't know why Cooper persists with him there. He's a good player. He got into the England squad and then unfortunately got injured. So he isn't, he's not a donkey. He's not a bad player. Just play him in the right way, in the right position. Christensen's injured, as we know. But, even if Christensen was back, and I love Christensen, I didn't want him to go last season on loan. But I'm sorry, JJ starts over Christensen.
To be honest with you, I actually will agree with you, and you'll see why I'm my 11. But Brad's just put in here, Christensen has been declared fit, so I see it being Christensen and Ricardo. I actually think it might be that, to be honest with you, Brad. The odd fish, Sumari's attitude sucks. He did everything preseason to get out of the club. There was a few people that did that, mate, but as long as he puts a shift in on the pitch, then, that's all that matters to me. But I do see where you're coming from. Cooper. Okay. Look at that grin on that guy. Okay. Chris, do you think that he's going to be under pressure this game? He has bought himself a little bit of a time with the win against Southampton and Bournemouth. But the Forest is a game that you never want to lose being a manager at Leicester, particularly in the way that we did. We've got players basically instructing on the sideline. We've seen Cody fancies himself an assistant manager there. Winks has been coming out in interviews talking and praising Enzo Ball and talking about, we saw like the complete shape change as well, go very eerily similar to Enzo Ball as well in the last couple of games, not including United. Do you think he's under pressure, mate? Do you think he's already starting to lose the dressing room? And I'm not just saying that because I'm Cooper out. I'm genuinely curious because I know that you're on the fence with him. So what your thoughts are?
I asked the question if he'd lost the dressing room. I don't know. And we will never know. It's a thing that is bandied about. And I don't think we'll ever know whether a manager does or not. Has he gone back to Enzo Ball? Possibly. But then again, look, he's inherited a group of players that were used to Enzo Ball. So going back to that a little bit isn't the worst thing. As long as he doesn't go back fully and, like I say, expect us to defend on the halfway line. But what Enzo's got at Chelsea is a hell of a lot better than what Enzo would have had at Leicester. We'd have still probably lost KDH, just maybe to a different team. And we had to because we needed the money. But he's got players at Chelsea that are so much better than the players at Leicester. And I'm not dissing the Leicester players. It's a fact of life. Look at their squad and look at our squad. You know what I mean? The players, every time, if you were playing top trumps, you wouldn't get many wins with the Leicester squad. Did he look? Yes, we lost and we lost badly against Nottingham Forest. And the thing is with that game is he gave us what we wanted, whether it was through choice or injuries or whatever. But he gave us, we'd have all picked that team, 10 out of 11 of those players, every day of the week and twice on a Sunday. And he went, well, here you go then, here's your team, and look how they performed. Not very well at all. And that's not his fault. He can only pick, a manager can only pick a team from how they're performing in training and what he sees on the pitch. Once they cross that line, he has a little bit of, influence because he can yank players off and what have you. But what do fans expect? What do fans really, really expect from this season? And it's great being on this side of the microphone because I can be, I can really sort of, I don't have to play devil's advocate. I can say what I think. I was on Talk Sport last Saturday morning. Name dropping. Just thought, ching. But I was on Talk Sport and they asked me, no, that's BBC, mate. Keep it right. But no, I was on Talk Sport and they asked me about the booing after one of the games, and I went, "What do fans really, really expect? If you'd have given us 9 points after 9 games at the start of the season, we'd have bitten your hand off. If we'd have got a PSR, let's say we'd got -6 points, which was possibly the most likely that we would have got, we would still be on 3 points. We'd still be third from bottom. So I just don't know what fans want. Yes, we haven't had the difficult start that Wolves have had. Yes, Ipswich have played both Manchester City and Liverpool, but we've got 9 points. The wins we've got haven't been particularly brilliant. We were holding on and we had to come back from the dead in the other, like I said earlier. But we still got wins, and winning ugly sometimes is what you need to do. And, it was Forest. Would that result have hurt as much if it was Chelsea, Newcastle, or Brighton, who are all with around Nottingham Forest? So it was the same sort of level of team. No, nobody would have been screaming. It's because it was Forest, and we have to take the blue tinted glasses off. Forest are a team. They are currently sat in 7th place. They went up to 5th after beating us. They've won the 4. They've only lost 1 game all season. They went away to Liverpool and beat Liverpool at Anfield. Did they think this was going to be a walk in the park? I agree, and I accept that the players didn't turn up and were awful, etc., etc., etc. But it wasn't the end of the world. It's all about 17th this season. We're not, we're not on about playing brilliant football like Enzo and Barcelona and Bayern Munich or whatever. It's all about scraping points, beating the teams that are around us, like we did with Southampton, and getting into that 17th place. So, no, why would he be under pressure?
There's a multitude of reasons. Terry's just put here the people like my lad who actually go to the matches expect a little bit more for his money. Not a lot, just a little. So Terry may be alluding to that we yet to see a full 90-minute performance this season, which is maybe something why there's booing, players almost just giving up in that last 20 minutes. It was very rough to watch, and it is strange. But look, I won't slag him off too much. I have been pretty critical on Cooper. I still want him out, don't get me wrong. But what I will say is that I said to you this earlier, Chris, he played the exact 11 that I wanted to see in the formation that I wanted to see. So I will not slag him off. Granted, there were subtle and slight differences between Enzo Ball in that 3-2-4-1 shape, but it's still the starting 11 that I wanted to see. We saw Mavadini.
Okay, let me ask you the question, Luke, then. You want him out, and I accept, he may get sacked if we're struggling, but we would be expecting to struggle anyway. But who would you replace him with?
Who would I replace him with? If it was if I could pick anyone that was let's say reasonable, or play out of managers that we've been linked with, it would probably, my first choice would be Carlos Corberán, and my second
choice. Come to us?
Well, you just asked me, it's hypothetical, so I'm
I wouldn't have gone because Corbyn was one of my 3 I wanted, but would he come to us?
That's the thing.
And Terry's got an excellent point there. You don't want a full 90 minutes. You want a full 96 minutes because half of that 90 minutes they're rolling about on the floor, so you're not getting your full 90 minutes anyway. But totally,
yeah.
So managers, and
we'll look at Brighton.
Over you, sorry.
No, not at all, mate. So we'll look at Brighton, Chris. Brighton keep coming up. These are, De Zerbi and the guy they've got now has been doing really well. Brighton pretty much have what we have, the Leicester of old model of getting these really good players in. I would love to tap into the South American market. Again, I'm going on tangents here, but sticking to the managers, I would go for Potter. I know you're going to give me an ear beating. Who doesn't want to come? He's been out of the game for 2 years, blah, blah, this and that. I know.
How desperate are you? You're getting married this year to the beautiful and very, very nice Steph. How many times did you ask her out before she said yes?
Who says I asked her out?
Well, all right. I'll be hypothetical.
I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Just once, mate. Sorry, I'm not being a slut.
Exactly. If she'd said no, you may well have gone back and tried again. If she'd said no a second time, would you have gone back a third time? How many times do you go back before you realise that she doesn't want anything to do with you? And how many times do we go to Potter, say, please come and manage us, please, please, please? You know, we'll get your call girls in for the hotel after the game if you want. We'll do anything you want. And he comes and then he wins a few games with us. Man United or Newcastle, something like that, come knocking. And he'll go, thank you, I'm going, bye. Look at Gary Megson. You know, he gave him a chance. And then he didn't even sign the contract. He'd buggered off to Bolton because they were in the Premier League. Yes, Brighton get it right, but it's a risk. Was Martin O'Neill welcome to this club when he started? Yes, he was welcomed, but my God, we soon turned on him, didn't we? We wanted him out. And look at that. You don't know who you're getting. It's a gamble. Cooper's not under pressure because his target this year that he will have been set is to keep us in the Premier League, even if that is on goal difference at the end of the season. And then at the end of the season, we're going to have the money and, you know, from staying up, then hopefully we can go and build on it. But if we stay up above Ipswich by 1 goal difference, he'll have done what we asked of him.
Build upon what though? What does Cooper bring? Where's his identity? Where's the full 90-minute performance? Where's there any foundation to build upon? This is, look, as much as I can slag, we'll move on after this, as much as I can slag Cooper off for how much I don't like his football and how he doesn't inspire me of confidence, particularly in the Premier League. What I will say, the board has a lot to answer for here, because you've brought in Enzo Maresca, which I thought was great. You drained the swamp. You got rid of a lot of the back staff and stuff that were there in Rogers' time. They've been there for Mike Stow and stuff. They've been there for a long time. It was time for a breath of fresh air. Great. The problem is that, like you were just alluding to with Potter, could he just leave if someone else comes knocking? Yeah, you're right, man. I can completely appreciate what you're saying and where you're coming from. They're very valid points. The problem is that we started a trajectory of a certain style and formation of football. We brought the players in to accommodate that, and then I wanted to keep working with that. There's foundation blocks laid by Enzo, and the board even came out and said we want to play a manager we want to sign a manager that, you know, kind of progresses that and has that style of play. Cooper said he watched all our games. I call bullshit because of the way he shapes this up. He's chopping and changing it now. He's starting to give in to the players. This is just, my problem is if we do, let's say 17th, we just stay in by the skin of our teeth. I just feel like it will be the same situation that he was in with Forest, where it doesn't progress and it doesn't go anywhere. Or should we get relegated? The other argument used to be, was to play devil's advocate, would be, oh, well, he'll be good at getting us back up again if he were to get relegated. Let's say hypothetically we do get relegated and we come straight back up again. We're in the same boat. Basically, what I want to see, Chris, is a brand of football progress season upon season and get players to build around that.
But then we'll worry about that next season. Because do you think changing a manager this season will make a lot of difference? Cooper's come in. He had no staff here. Enzo took everybody with him. All the coaches, like you say, he replaced all the coaches. They were all his staff, and he took them all. When Ranieri came and took over from Pearson, he had Craig Shakespeare in his ear going, don't do that. He's shit at playing in that position. Cooper hasn't got any of that. And all right, watching a match only tells you so much. But he's actually kind of learning on the job. You know, he had nobody here that could sort of help him with that. It's not his team. It's not his brand of football. And yes, all right, you could say, you know, we wanted somebody in that would carry on what Enzo had started. Nobody bloody well wanted us. We were being told that we were getting anything from -6 to -12 points. Nobody wanted to come. Cooper at least wanted to come. And if he gets to 17th, 1 goal difference above whoever is in 18th, he will have done his job. If he is able to build on that during the summer, then yes, he's probably going to have to go next season. Cooper is not going to be the manager that's going to get us back into Europe. Are we going to get back into Europe within the next 3 to 4 seasons? Are we fucked? No, we're not. Excuse my French. We're not. He's not the manager for that, but we are not the Leicester that is going to do that. And we have to accept that. The Leicester that was finishing 5th and getting into Europe when seasons and winning FA Cups. We are not that Leicester. We got relegated. We are a newly promoted team. Forest stuffed us. Fulham stuffed us because they are established Premier League teams that have been there 2-3 seasons and more for Fulham. Cooper has got one job, and that's to keep us up. If he doesn't do that, he may well go. But who would come in his place? Because if we go down to the EFL, we may still get points deduction there. Who wants to come to a relegated team? Nobody that's decent. Somebody we're going to have to take a risk on. And that word there, risk. Cooper gets us to 17th. He's done his job.
Fair play, Chris. Chris, I think the problem is Cooper said he desperately wanted attacking players, but then started playing defensive. He doesn't know what he wants, in my opinion, Terry. Let's move on from Cooper.
It's a good point that Terry makes, but you want and what you can get are two different things. Because again, our players, and I read a very interesting, I think it's on the Leicester Mercury page, Leicestershire Live, about why Brunetti came to Leicester. I bet you something, for every Brunetti out there, there's 3 or 4 or 5 players that are like Potter that don't want to go to Leicester. Why do I want to go to Leicester? It's the end of me, and you have to accept that, what you want and what you can get. But it's a very good point that Terry makes. But like I say, what you want. I mean, I want to go out with, with Claudia Schiffer. I'm not going to get it, but I want it.
All right, let's move on from Cooper. This is potential 11 that I've gone for. So if he were to shape up how we've been going, kind of similar to the Enzo ball. Now, I think Justin, because he's played the full 90 minutes and he's been poor, might be dropped. And depending on Victor Christensen, the only change I'd make to this is that Victor Christensen could potentially come in on that back left centre back. Now, Calder's been apparently poor as well. The game before, I thought he was poor. So if Yannick's good to go, we're going to have that build of those line-breaking passes come back in from the back three. I would love to have Yannick back there. Wout Faes back on the right where we were used to seeing him last season, and JJ on the left, or it could be Victor Christensen. Now, I would love to see Ricardo Pereira back in that double pivot position, dropping back into right back if needed, out of possession. But for me, he works really well with Harry Winks. And I think those three together are absolutely, or even man-to-man, so those 4 are crucial from building out the back and controlling the ball and setting up our attacking play, particularly in transition as well. So that they are the most important 4 players, in my opinion, building from the back. Moving forward into the high 8s, El Khanous, who's been absolutely tremendous. With that goal, I think he's just not absolutely tremendous, but you know what I mean? I can just see that there's a raw talent there, and it's just starting to tick over now. And I think he's earned his place now. And I think if Fatawa being injured, we're going to see Buonanotte play on the right. Now, let's hope he doesn't drift too much in, because I know it's natural for him as a 10. But if he is to play, he can play on the right wing. We've seen him there. Buonanotte on the right, Mavididi in the left, purely because of Fatawa's injury. Jamie Vardy up front. I think this starting 11 could do some damage, Chris. What are your thoughts?
Totally not. I'm sorry. I'm sorry to disagree. I'm just looking at the team I've picked. Look, I'm not saying that he wouldn't. Football's all about opinions. You've got Ndidi in up front. I mean, yeah. That not having 4 at the back, I think, exposes us because, is Ricardo or whoever plays that role going to be able to get back in time, if he's gone forward? Look, I'll tell you what my team is. I mean, first of all, mate, really, really well. Congratulations and well done. You put a goalkeeper in there. That really, really helps.
You'll never let that one go.
Oh, no, never going to let that one go, mate. Okay, you have gone. What have you gone for there? A 3-2-4-1.
Mm-hmm.
So I have gone for a 4.
You can share it if you want, mate.
Sorry?
You can share it if you want.
I'm not.
I'll put it on screen for you.
Will it work? Because let's just have a look. I can't upload slides at my end.
Okay, well, if you want to just share your screen, mate, by all means, but it's all cool if you don't, you can just read it out.
I don't know if it will.
Let me just talk through. So there's a good comment here. I just want to quickly bring it. That's all right. While you sort that out, let me just answer Clibo here. We talked about this earlier, Clibo. I've had enough of Cooper's inability to create protection for JJ and Ricardo Pereira. I think Ricardo Pereira will be all right with Harry Winks next to him, mate. I think the problem is that JJ has been expected. I said this earlier, but JJ is basically expected to be a right back and a right winger in the Cooper system when he's not playing a back three. And I just think that that's just really detrimental to us, particularly in transition. I think you're asking too much of him. Sorry, Chris, do you want to talk for your 11, do you, mate?
Yeah, I'm just going to see if I can actually bring it up for you, because obviously it will be better if I can, if it's up on the screen. And you'll probably say exactly the same about my 11 as I said about yours. Right, so let me see if this works then. Share screen. No, it won't let me share a screen either. Oh yes, it will. There we go.
All right.
No, window.
It's that bad that it's not allowing him to share it.
Has that worked?
Yes, it has, mate. I'll pull this up.
Right.
Talk me through this while I quickly send out a link.
Right. So, yeah, look, Hermansen in goal, that's done and dusted. I want to. I've got it the other way around, by the way. My defence is at the top, so don't think that I've gone with Hermansen up front and Vardy in goal. But I've got Hermansen there in goal. I've gone for back four. You've got to have Ricardo at right back. I've put Justin in, even if Christian is fit. If Justin is fit and working and well, then you've got to put him over Christensen. Vestergaard, yes, bring him back. I'm not. If you've got something like Ricardo, Coley, and Justin who can all go forward and have got the speed to go forward, Vestergaard doesn't. We can't have the luxury of having Vestergaard defending on the halfway line like we did last season. But if he stays in the defence and does his role well, all he's got to do, he can stick his foot out and get a tackle in. That is his strength. Faze, look, I mean, what the bloody hell was he doing? You know, I mean, I've got a Barbie doll that could have bloody hit that header better than he did. You know, so he's got to go out. He's got to go. A Coley, tempted. I was struggling between a Coley and Cody, but if you got Vestergaard in, I think you need that pace next to him to come back. So that's why I've gone a Coley. Winks, goes without saying for me. I think Winks. I did upset Kate when I showed her this, and she said, you know, did I put Ndidi in there just to wind her up? Indeed, he can't pass a fucking fart. Let's be honest with you. But what he can do again, just get stuck in as that in front of that back four. Let Winks go forward. And yes, I know he's got assists and all this, but he's absolutely shit in that role in this division. And then for me, look, Fataru's injured. Having said that, even I'd picked this team before I knew Fataru was injured, and I hadn't included in my starting 11. I think El Canous and Buenete together. El Canous can't really play on the wing. Buenete can. And obviously Mavididi, fair enough. And you've got to have, you know, Mr. Red Bull himself up front, haven't you? Jamie Vardy. Why hasn't he been signed up to do an advert series for Red Bull? I don't know. But completely different to yours in formation. A lot of differences with players. Who knows what Cooper will go with?
To be fair, mate, I actually don't have a lot wrong with this, and I can understand why you've gone for the starting 11 and why Cooper would as well. I'm just happy to see Ricardo in your 11. That's all that matters to me. Free Ricardo Pereira.
Yeah, exactly.
Faze was poor in the last two games. I thought, to be fair, that he had been not as calamitous as he normally can be. But no, to be fair, mate, he was awful against Nottingham. But I'm surprised you put a Coley in. The reason why I didn't put a Coley in is because he's been poor as well, but he just played a 490 against United. But you can, like, again, I said, you can make the same argument for JJ. So I would not be surprised if those two are omitted from the starting 11.
I get that. No, I agree 100% with you on that. The only thing is with a Coley, he's young. He should be able to play 3 matches a week.
Yeah, to be fair, we saw that a lot as well with the championship and us and the hectic schedule that we just had. But you're right, mate. But indeed, let's talk about that because he's been played in so many roles. He's played as a 10, the box crashing 8 recently, and also in that double pivot. Talk to me and why you, because if he is to play in the double pivot, you usually see him drift up a lot further at the pitch than Harry Winks will. But then that's, in my opinion, look, I think I can kind of understand what you're saying, you and Kate, about Ndidi. But he's done a lot better than a lot of people give him credit for, and his stats would back that up. The problem for me is, as good as he is, as he used to be as a holding midfielder, I think he leaves Winks to expose in that double pivot position, particularly if he's going to be the one that drifts up the pitch more. So,
I don't want him drifting up the pitch. That's the thing. Winks. Look, indeed, his strengths are his just stopping players going past him, or it was his strength. He's a defensive holding midfielder, as is Winks. But look, Winks can get forward. We know that Winks can go all over the pitch. He's like the Duracell bunny. If one of them's got to stay behind and let the other one go forward, I want it to be Ndidi because, like I say, he couldn't pass Wind. At least Winks can get past players and what have you. I'd have him in there. Again, I would be tempted to have Skip in there, but if it was Skip, I wouldn't. I think Skip's a good signing. I wouldn't mind Skip and Winks. I would like to see them together. But indeed, he just, like I say, he can stop players going forward, and that's why I've included him in.
It's a good 11, Chris. I actually like it, mate. I've got no issues with it whatsoever, to be honest with you. I think these are all players that would be happy to be starting, and I think it's nice to have what I would say is the most depth that we have in positions would be that double pivot. You could make an argument for a lot of people at double pivot. Here he is. His makeup's on and all. And you're looking pretty, baby. What's going on?
But take your Halloween mask off.
I'm disappointed I didn't even get a message like that from you as well, Luke, to be honest, mate. It doesn't surprise me from Chris, but I hope you're both doing well, guys.
Hope you are too, mate.
He's on the red cordial too.
Yeah. Summer fruits and squash, living life, mate. Living life.
And congratulations, mate. Have you finished your job?
I've got one more week.
Oh, they're dragging it out.
Yes, but we'll be there eventually.
Martin, I don't know. I don't know who this guy is. Does anyone know who this guy is and who he supports? Walkhorn speaks the truth. What a ugly name that is.
I've seen it. He comes on mine a little bit. I'm not 100% sure which team he supports.
He's probably a lead supporter looking at that big beak of his. Ant, tell me, mate, what do you reckon of this 11? Do you want to see the Enzo ball? You want to see the 3-2-4-1 again? What are your thoughts? Have you got an 11 that you want to share? Talk to me.
Mine would be very similar to that, actually. But if Christensen's available, I'd put Christensen in.
I'd literally so this is what I was saying. So I think would you say that with Coley and JJ playing a 490 basically against, or a lot of minutes against United, that you could expect that they're going to be omitted? Both of them have been poor. I could 100% if Christensen's ready, he's the one thing I could see coming in that left-hand sided centre back.
Yeah, my thing is I can't I've said for the longest time this season, I think JJ is getting caught out because of the system and being asked to be a right winger / right back, which is why so many goals came down that side. I thought that until the Forest game, and then when he was playing at left back, he got a new one. He got torn a new one every time a winger ran at him. So it's like I tried to defend him, but it's at some point I almost think his own good as well. You need to almost bring him away from the team for his own sake. But
and he can't defend either, so that's two of you.
That's true, but this is what I worry about. Why we're always we set up defensively, yet we don't have the players to be defensively solid. It's sort of counterintuitive. Yeah.
I agree with you, to be honest with you. Like, Chris, we have looked pretty poor defensively, would you not think, for the last couple of games?
Oh, yeah, totally. But I just don't know with the players we've got. I mean, even with that squad for me, and that's just the one I've picked, and it's all about opinions, and I'm not saying that that's going to be a winning team. But even with that, with my prediction, I've still gone for, us conceding a couple of goals. At least we're not conceding as many from corners or set pieces. I know, we did against United, but that was United. But yeah, for me, the best form of defence is attack, and just let's just go for it. We have to beat Ipswich. We've got to keep that gap between us and them.
Yeah.
And before we wrap this up, mate, Chris mentioned Do you think that you would rather see Ndidi in that double pivot position?
Mhm.
Do you think he leaves Harry Winks exposed too much, or would you rather see him as that box crashing 8? Or we just need to stick of him in one position?
I want him as a holding midfielder. He wins the ball back brilliantly, and I haven't heard about what you guys have said because I only just joined before you sent the link. I'll watch it back later. But for me, Ndidi's assist numbers sort of tell a little bit of a lie of the quality on the ball that he has. Like, he wins the ball back brilliantly, and I think there's very few midfielders that are ball winners as good as him. Him on the ball, I think he's got 4 assists. From 3 of them are just long balls in behind, hoping for the best for a runner. Which I think a couple of them I thought have been clearances, or the one against Arsenal, which was just a blind cross into the box, and James Justin hit a wonder strike. I'm sorry, that was just to put it in the box and pray someone's there. It wasn't placed for him. So I think Ndidi's a fantastic, fantastic player, and I think he's been one of our better performers this year. But let's call a spade a spade. Going forward at Premier League level, he is not it.
He speaks a lot. He speaks a lot of sense, that man, doesn't he? I like the cut of that man's jib. Well said, Ant.
I was laughing because Chris is just his smug face.
Is that exactly what you said?
Yeah, it was. I can see the look at his face. He felt so vindicated.
I don't often agree with Ant, but when I do, well done, Ant.
You know what you need, mate? Have you seen the little meme that I have on my channel? You know, the Jeremy Clarkson smug face?
I've got that on mine, yes. Yeah. But no, Ant, you've never spoken more sense since I've met you.
I do try.
You guys, to wrap this up, Ant, tell me what you expect to see this game. How you feeling? What's your score prediction?
So I'm feeling nervous because it's a huge game. But I'm glad that I feel nervous because when the back end of Brendan Rodgers and when we got relegated, I lost that feeling going into games of nerves and stuff. I just almost felt numb to it. So I think it's good to have those nerves heading into a big game. It's got to be a win. Ipswich haven't won a game all season. They've got a fair few injuries. I think they got a red card to Harry Clark last time out. Surely it's got to be a win. Surely it's got to be a win.
It's got to be a win. And also, just to quickly add this in before I get a prediction out of you guys, I believe there's a touchline ban for Ork Cooper. So
it didn't do Nuno much harm, did it?
No. The thing is, a few years ago, a touchline ban probably would have meant something. Now they'll be on their headsets giving exactly the same messages. So I don't know. I think it means very little. And also what it means is during the game, you probably can't talk to the players, which might actually be a good thing.
Maybe Cody will. Maybe Cody's going to be the manager of the touchline.
Might be an even worse thing thinking about that, actually.
He'll be shouting something at Scouts and they won't understand him. Chris, what are your thoughts? What's your score prediction, mate?
I am extremely nervous, like Ant, but it isn't necessarily a bad thing. You can sometimes go into a game too confident. And I think maybe we went into Nottingham Forest too confident. We looked at that and thought, we're going on the back of 2 wins. But like I say, Bournemouth, we were holding on. I've seen only the highlights. And Southampton, we had to come back from the dead. Ipswich, they need that first win. I mean, the guy, when I interviewed Rich, the Ipswich fan, he said, if they don't beat us, as far as he's concerned, he thinks that's them down. Because he said, these are the teams, like Leicester, that they've got to be beating. They've only scored 9 goals this season, and they've conceded 20. They've got a minus 11 goal difference. And, we're on minus 4. That could be the difference between us staying up or going down. There's going to be a lot of goals in it, which will probably mean it will be 0-0. But I have actually gone as a prediction, Ipswich Town 2, because you can just see the fact that if they're going to win a game, it's going to be Leicester. But Ipswich Town 2, Leicester City 3. Edward hat-trick. You heard it here first, Brad.
What about yourself, man?
I haven't been smoking anything either for that.
I'm going to go with Desmond for 2-2. And what about yourself?
I'm going with my heart over my head here. I'm going to go 3-1. I think 3-1.
Ooh.
I was talking to an Ipswich fan, and I don't know if the fan you talked to said the same, Chris, but when they go a goal down at Portman Road, there's like a real nervous feeling now. Because last year he was saying that like there was this feeling, oh, we can get back into the game even if we've gone a goal down. I think this year the reality's hit that they don't have the quality to do that game after game after game.
Yeah, I mean, last season, you're 100% right. I'm agreeing with you too much here, Ant. This has got to stop. But yeah, every time that, it was sort of 88 minutes and there were 2-1 down, they'd get the equaliser. But it was 88 minutes, it was 1-1, they'd get the winner. But now teams are doing that to them, and then it is a different quality. So it is very important to get, if we can get that first goal, I think that would be a big help. But look, Leicester are going to do it the hard way.
We're going to do it the hard way. Listen, before we wrap this up, everyone, if you like this, please go ahead. Chances are everyone probably is from you guys' channels first, but if not, subscribe to Ant's Leicester fan channel. Please subscribe to Chris at Leicester Till I Die TV. Ant, do you want to give a shout out to what you're going to be doing next on your channel, mate?
So be doing a match reaction outside Portman Road tomorrow. Oh, and actually, I forgot. Really organised as always. In an hour and a half, I'll be doing a match preview for the game.
Perfect. I'll be there to tune in, mate. I'm not going to be going to bed anytime soon. I'm buzzing, thinking about this game. Chris, what do you got planned, mate?
I'm just working out what time that's going to be live so I can watch it. I think, yeah, that'd be at 5 o'clock, won't it? So I'm not on air till 7, so you can go and watch Ant first and give him your support, then come and watch me at 7. It's the prediction league, and I'm still bottom, but only by a point. I've clawed it back. And then obviously there'll be a live watch along tomorrow for the game. And everybody, if you're watching and you haven't subscribed to this channel, why not? Give Luke your support. I'm not just saying this because he put me up when I went to Australia. Well, that was very nice of him. But look, the guy gets up at all hours. It's weird hours over there. I can remember looking at some of the scores on my phone at 2 a.m. in the morning over there. He does the shifts in, so do give him your support and subscribe to this channel.
Thank you, Chris. I really appreciate that. That means a lot. You guys can see me at blue tinted glasses for the match day live at pre and half time, and then me and for Fox Sake TV and Neil from Beyond the 90 will do the post-match reaction on all of our channels. Doesn't matter where you tune in, we'll be happy to see your comments. Clibo, thank you for that, mate. I appreciate that. And Dan, yes, you guys have gone ahead an hour, I believe, so it's changed. So your 3 o'clock kickoffs used to be 10 p.m. at night for me. Now it's 11, but hey, that's not too bad. It's better than waking up at 2:45 in the morning, guys. So Thank you for everyone that got your scores and comments in. Hopefully let's have a win and take care, and I will see you guys soon. Have a good weekend.